do you think Michael Hearn's natty? I'm like, I was natty from the age of 13 to 19 because I was competing as a lightweight. I was never an ego trainer. People are like, Lee, what's your personal best on this? I'm like, look, if I can't do 4 or 5 reps, I'm not even going to attempt it. It's like, why am I going to try to risk getting an injury just for my ego? I used growth hormone twice my whole life. 6 parabolin, 1
Yeah.
1 anapolon, and 1 IU. All right, I'm just filling this out. Mike O'Hearn, I'm just writing this down. Mike O'Hearn, week 1, 6 parabolin, 1
Yeah.
1 anapolon, and 1 IU every 2 hours. Oh fuck, we live, are we?
Oh yeah. Oh shoot.
Shit.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah. Now they won't ask me 100 times a day when I'm on live. Lee, do you think Mike's natty?
Hey, will you chill, man? Yeah, the topic of the question. Hey, cool. Lee.
I don't know. I do live twice a day on my Instagram while I'm doing cardio, and I could probably say at least 6 times, do you think Mike O'Hearn's natty? I'm like,
I'm sorry that you get that, man.
imagine how rich you could be if these people paid you, because without you, they wouldn't have a life. So I think they should actually pay you because you're giving them a life.
Every time they say the name?
You know, just even because they think about you so much. Imagine if you weren't there, who would they talk about? It's like, you're their reason for living. Is Mike natty? Do you think he's natty? I don't know if he's natty. Do you think he's natty? I don't know.
You have been doing this since a pup, since
Yes.
a young lad. And we both, I think you started same as I did. You were, how old?
I started competing and I won my first 3 bodybuilding shows when I was 13.
Okay, so you were even on stage before me. I was on at 14, and you're already winning and crushing people.
Yeah.
And you were over here by 20 easily. Is that right?
Yeah, I just turned 20 when I got over there. I think I celebrated my birthday at Ed Connor's house when I was there. So yeah, I just turned 20, and then, well, I originally came over to do the Niagara Falls amateur, but then when they found out I'd won my national title 3 times, I should have had a pro card. So Jim Mannion contacted Wayne, and Wayne contacted the people in Australia. So I ended up doing the Niagara Pro because I won my first national title when I was 17, but they said I was too young to turn pro. So I won it again at 18 and then 19. And that whole time, this is going to be a shock to people, I was natty from the age of 13 to 19 because I was competing as a lightweight. And after the 3rd time winning, I said, you know what, fuck this being a lightweight anymore. I did a cyclodeca, put on 20 pounds and went to America, and that was it. But, you know, I did those first 7 years because people are like, oh, you got on, you know, drugs when you were young. But it was like, yeah, but I'd done everything I could in my country without them. And now I was going to the pro level. And, you know, as good as genetics as I had, if I'm going into the pro ranks and they got great genetics, me having great genetics not on drugs ain't going to beat them with great genetics on drugs. So you got to sadly play the game once you get to that level in the sport. And so I started using them then. But yeah, I started from a young age, and I know you did too. And this is what people find it hard to believe. Like, well, I'm 48, you're what, 51 now?
Yep.
You know, it's one of those things. If you love the sport, you just do it. You know, people always ask me all the time, you probably get asked, how do you stay motivated? I'm like, I just love training. I don't need motivation. Sure, there's some days where you might be like, I don't really feel like it, but you go anyway. And once you get into it, you have a great workout. So it's just one of those things. If I wasn't competing now, which I'm not because I've got a neck injury still, but I just love to train. I just like training's almost to me like breathing, because I've probably been training 38 years. And if I add it up, you know, from traveling from country to country, if I've been sick, or when I had my shoulder operation, I had to take 4 days off. If I added up every day I took off over 38 years, it probably equate to 6 months total, because I just love going to the gym and I love training. So I don't like taking time off. I feel better when I train.
You would do it, and I spoke about this, you would do it with or without money in the aspect of getting paid for doing this. We just love lifting.
Yeah, well, I never got into it for the money, because you don't get into bodybuilding for the money, one. But I was like, I wanted to do it because I wanted to look like He-Man. So it was like I you know, when I started training, even at a young age, people go, Lee, you got a body to compete. I'm like, that's not why I got into it, but okay, I'll give competing a go. And as I won shows, it was like, yeah, that's cool. But I still never had that mindset of, okay, now I want to turn pro. I want to do this. I just took it as it come. Then I got to America, got my pro card. And even then I was just like, hey, I'm still just Lee. I don't give a shit about this whole, I'm a pro bodybuilder, whoopie fucking do, because, hey, you're just a guy that goes to the gym. And to this day, you know, I get annoyed if people sit on equipment when I was getting ready for the Olympia or something at Gold's Gym and other places. But I've never asked anyone to this day how many sets you got, because I was under the impression, yes, I go to the gym. If I'm getting ready for the Olympia, that's important to me. But if there's a lady there wanting to lose 20 pounds, that's just as important to her. So I can't come over and say, hey, I'm Lee Priest, I'm getting ready for Olympia, get off that piece of equipment, I need to use it. Especially like if you're doing chest, how many exercises can you do for chest? I don't need that one specific piece. I can go do something. Go, hello, puppy dog. Hello.
Hey, baby. This is our Timberwolf.
Oh, how beautiful.
So I love how you put that too. It's everything you're talking about is that we do it, we love it. No reason to be arrogant about it. No reason to oh, hey, cool, I'm a pro. We go to the gym, we love it. That's the bottom line. We don't need motivation for it. And I feel the same way you do in the sense of how much time we've missed. Not much.
Yeah.
Much out of the. For me, you're like 38 years in. I started when I was 9, so I'm 42 years in of training, and it's like same thing. It's like there's never been a year off. There's never been a month off. We just love this stuff.
Exactly. It's like one of those things. Once you do it, you just enjoy doing it. You know, it's just that's why. Like,
but we've been doing it a lot longer. I mean, we started. You and I started young.
Yeah, and when I trained at World Gym too, you know, Joe Gold, no music. You weren't allowed to drop the weights. It was quiet. That's why people go, well, how could you train with no music? What about motivation? I'm like, you create your own atmosphere. Some of my best workouts were at home, in the garage at home. I had my best workouts at home. No one watching. I played whatever music. I'll probably listen to Celine Dion, Barry Manilow, anything like that. People go, what the fuck are you listening to? I'm like, I didn't need music. You know, some people, you'll see them getting you to squat rack. They've got the headphones on. They're looking for a certain song. Okay, they found it. They grabbed the bar. They're banging their head. They must be in tune with the music. I'm like, fuck that shit. Just get under the weight and fucking do it. You know, just a passion for lifting weight should be enough drive to get under there and lift it. Not, oh, hold on, I've got to wait for this song to come on. I can't do it until this song hits the good beat. I'm like, what's that shit about?
You are the first other person I have talked to in over 30 years that doesn't need the music. People ask me, what's my music I listen to? I don't let Gold's Gym play music until 6:30 until I'm done with my workout. I want the weights and
exactly. If it's playing, like, it's just, to me, it's background noise. I don't even listen to it.
Yeah.
But I will admit now, I go to because we have an Anytime Fitness near me, and they have stupid shit music going. But every time I go in, I found the best way to clear the gym is they have a music machine on the wall where you can pick your own songs. I downloaded the app, so before I go in the gym, I sit in the car because I'm close enough to the machine, and I ABBA, Village People, and I start putting in the worst fucking songs possible. I saw a guy train there the other day when ABBA come on, Waterloo, you know, ABBA song Waterloo.
Hold on, what's wrong with ABBA? I love ABBA.
You know, when that music comes on, it makes you smile. It's like happy music. So this guy was doing dumbbell curls, fucking ABBA comes on, he throws them on the ground. What the fuck's this shit? I can't train to this. And he left the gym. I'm like, cool, 1 down, 10 to go. I'll have this gym to myself.
I love it. When it comes to, because I'm going to have some questions for you, because this is one thing.
Let me just turn my fan. I'm just going to turn my fan on low. I was out walking in the sun. I got a bit hot. Before people say, Lee's got blood pressure, Lee's got blood pressure. No, I was out walking in the sun for an hour. They know exactly how you are. They know how your kidneys are, how your heart is, the blood pressure. They know everything, these people.
You know, we know that we're breathing heavy because we just got done with squats or something like that. And so we're breathing heavy. We're trying to talk to the camera, and then they're watching the video and they just see us talking and they're like, holy shit, something's wrong with him. He can't breathe. What's wrong? Heart attack.
That happens to me all the time because I go down to Sam's Fitness. He's a friend of mine. He sells gym equipment. So once or twice a month, I go to Sydney and I just demonstrate the equipment, just like what the machines can do. And I'll be doing just an exercise or a set, squatting. I stop. And as soon as I stop, he asks me a question. So I'll be like, yeah, and then you do this. And as soon as it comes up on YouTube, he's got problems. Listen to how hard he's breathing. Listen to this. I'm like, oh.
Oh my God.
Oh.
What would you tell young Lee when it comes to training? Here's the problem, though. I realize the question because it's gonna be a problem because you were so good. You were so good at the start. But what would you tell your young self when it comes to training and nutrition? What were some mistakes that you think you may have made or could have been better?
Probably the main one, like when it came to training, I always used the best form I could. I never dropped weights. I never threw weights. Joe Gold would tell people I could be squatting 6 or 7 plates. You wouldn't even know I'm in the gym because I never made a noise. I just, had always good form. That's why people, when they watch my videos, they comment on my form because I was never an ego trainer. People are like, Lee, what's your personal best on this? I'm like, look, if I can't do 4 or 5 reps, I'm not even going to attempt it. It's like, why am I going to try to risk getting an injury just for my ego? I was never into that type of stuff. So training wise, it wouldn't be too much. Eating wise, you used to see me in the off season. Some days at Gold's, I'd be 285, 135 kilos, but I probably still that. But the main thing I never really did was when it came contest time. Yes, I was like a military: eat at this time, train at that time, cardio this time. Off season, I was very relaxed. Like after a contest, when that rebound would hit in, I'd train my ass off for a while and eat. But then as off season went on more, there might have been some days in my off seasons where I might only have 2 meals because I just didn't feel like eating. So maybe in the off season, I could have made more gains if I was more regimented in my eating in the off season, whereas I'd be like, might have breakfast. And I'm one of those people, say I went out for the day. If I'm busy doing something, I'd be like, well, it's time to eat, but I'll eat later. So I might eat 7 hours later and then I might have a shake and that's it for the day. So when it came to off season, I was never really that regimented in my off season. Plus too, in the off season, if I ate a bucket of Kentucky, I was full for like maybe 8 hours. I didn't feel like eating. So.
Right. That's
Definitely would have. When it came, like I said, the other side, because I did use drugs, I was never, like I said, I did all those videos before talking about the amounts I used, the exact dosages. I get accused of lying. But to me, it was like when I used test, I never went over 400. There used to be a guy at Gold. Do you remember Trevor Smith? Long time ago, big, strong guy. He came to me one day and said, Lee, imagine if you used more. I said, no, I've been doing good on the small bits I take now. Why push it? So I did go to 800 milligrams for a couple of weeks. I felt like shit. My strength actually went down. I just felt like crap. Went back to the small amount. I did good. I trained a guy here once who's getting ready for the Worlds, and he asked me to help him train. So I gave him his diet, gave him his training. He goes, what about the drug side? I said, look, I'm no fucking doctor. I said, I don't know what cycles work, what works for me and what might not work for you. I show you what I've done. So I sent him this. He wrote back to me 10 minutes later, are you fucking with me? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, that's not enough. I normally do this. I said, look, if you're going to trust me with your training and dieting, trust me with this. And he did. He went over there. He won the Worlds. And he said it was the best he ever felt, the best he ever looked. So this whole more is better is a load of fucking bullshit. You don't need that. And I'm trying to tell people that because my off seasons, I didn't take anything. All I did was eat like a pig. Like I said, I'd eat the Kentucky. I'd eat this, be like, oh, you're so big. You've got to be taking this. I used growth hormone twice my whole life, 94 and 96. Because I was probably still in my 20s, I didn't notice anything from it. I figured, for the money I'm paying for that, screw taking that, I'll stick to stanozol Winstrol. So I never used it again. But yet, have I heard the rumors? Leave from a baby because he developed so young was on growth hormone. The government had him on growth hormone. Well, people,
the government.
I know one of the side of growth hormones is height. I'm still 5'5". But fucking, if I was taking growth hormone, it didn't fucking work in the height department, did it? So, the amount I was meant to be taking, it's like, really? But, when it just comes to shit like that, that was the main thing. I only use small amounts for contests, and I mainly just take it for that 12 to 16 weeks contest, and then I'd come off. I never get any of that, like, when they finish a cycle, they go on Clomid and all this shit. When I come off, I'm off. I didn't even go on to anything because I had a naturally high. When I used to do the drug tested shows for the Worlds, I had to get a doctor's certificate because my natural level was always higher, like my mother. My mother had to take estrogen to keep her male level down. And that time my mother said to me, can I compete with you if I get in shape? My mum was out of shape. I just said, yeah, whatever. You get in shape, I'll do it. Because at 17, I'm like, I don't want to compete with my mum on stage. How embarrassing. So I just said, yeah, get in shape, I'll do it. 8 months later, my mum was in shape. We were the first mother and son in the world to win the couples together. So, she just stopped taking her estrogen. And
I remember those photos.
Yeah, and I was only 17 then, and people were saying, oh, look at Lee, he's 17. He's giving his mum steroids. Look how good she looks. I'm like, what? I said, my mum wouldn't take steroids in her fucking life. But she knew I had to take them later on. She didn't agree with it, but she knew it was part of my job back then. But, but just the way people are so, no one wants to look at the hard work, the dedication, the years, the sacrifices you got to put in year after year.
But you said something there though. It's genetics too.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom had high testosterone. Look at Mona. We just had a baby a year and a half ago, still breastfeeding and stuff. She's a 45-year-old woman, and people look at her and they go, "Well, you're on steroids." She's breastfeeding. Relax. Yeah, you must be an idiot. But she's jacked and looks great. But people don't realize genetics is a huge thing. And then with talent and genetics with effort and consistency creates a elite priest. So people get shut down on that stuff. Why is it that genetics is thrown out, or the only reason you're good is because of genetics? And then the second thing is this: you just said you didn't need to take a lot to grow as big as you were. Why? And you could tell these people this because they won't believe it. How many guys have you seen through the years?
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
Been training that have been on shit, tons of shit, and they look like crap, and they're not strong, or they're just broken out and have these traps up to here and no arms, and just.
I was going to ask you the same question. The amount of time you've been in golds and I was in golds, and you'd see that guy who would come in. I'm going to turn pro. I'm going to compete. I'm going to do this, and then like, say 10 years goes by. I'm going to turn pro. The same guy pumping all this shit in. And I'd actually see people like that sometimes at the firehouse, and they'd talk to me, and I'd sit there and talk to them, and they'd show me their cycle, and I'd be honest and say, listen, you're taking more than the pros. Bullshit. No, I'm not. Because in their mind, they're thinking, if I'm taking all this and I'm training and I look like this, and you're taking that little bit or whatever you're taking, you've got to be taking more than me to look like that. That's their whole mentality. Like you said, they forget genetics. Even if you haven't got the best genetics, I always tell people, when it comes to training, the biggest thing you're going to use is your fucking heart and your mind. If you don't have them two together, you're not going to go fucking anywhere in life. If you don't have that discipline, that drive, that motivation, that passion and love, you can have the best genetics in the world, but if you're a lazy fucker, it ain't going to do you any good. Somebody with a bit less genetics, he could probably blow you out the water because he's got that fucking drive to push it and get past you. But, I've always said bodybuilding is a weird sport because, look, anyone that goes to the gym, I'm all for it, whether they want to be a bodybuilder, just to train for health, for fitness. Hey, when CrossFit come out, people go, I hate CrossFit. I'm like, look, CrossFit's not my thing, but at least they're going to the gym doing stuff. They're sort of keeping fit and healthy. Yeah, some have bad form, whatever, but they'll eventually work it out. But to me, when it came to bodybuilding, it was like, I'm sure you have friends that love basketball, go down to Venice Beach, play basketball. They probably play on the weekends. Or you have friends that love playing golf. They go play golf, but they're not coming to you going, Mike, fuck, you know what? Next year I'm going to join the NBA. I'm going to be a fucking pro basketballer, or I'm going to go to the PGA and play golf. It's like they do it for fun. It's a hobby. But for some reason, every Tom, Dick, and Harry and douchebag that goes to the gym and lifts weights, I'm going to be a pro bodybuilder. I'm going to get muscle. No, you're not. You might get strong. You might get fit and healthy. You might gain a little bit of muscle, but that's as far as it's going to go. You're not going to get this huge, freaky physique, even though you might wish you want that. That's not going to happen. Sadly, you can only do with the best of what you're going to do. And then they think, well, if I take drugs, then I look like that. And they're the people that take the drugs year after year after year and get nowhere. Because I said, if you were to go around the world and look at top sprinters in the world, like you got a Usain Bolt, you had a Carl Lewis, Ben Johnson, and all them. If you took all those people, imagine how many people around the world are fast, and I mean fucking fast. But to be a Usain Bolt or a Carl Lewis, you're talking about this 1%. And now these guys who are fast, they could take all the drugs in the world. They're not going to be a Carl Lewis. They're not going to be a Usain Bolt, because it just comes down to finding what you're good at. And, when I started weight training, I played rugby, I did all these other things. But once I started weight training, I was like, okay, it's almost like generally if you love something and have a passion for it, I always find sometimes the sport picks you, or whatever you do finds you. And then if you have that drive and passion, because I never found, even when I was competing as a job, it's like when I got into car racing, I just started doing the car racing for fun, won the championship. I find if you love it and you have that passion for it, and you don't go, oh, fuck, it's a job, I got to go to work, and that's when you start to hate it. But if you just find the career that you love going to work for, you're going to excel at it. And that's the main thing. And same with bodybuilding. You might not have the best genetics, but if you've got that heart and drive and that willpower to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because shit, you are going to have bad days. You're going to have those days you don't want to go to the gym, but you just got to push through it, So it's just one of the things that sadly, I think a lot of kids now, they all want a shortcut. They don't want to hear oh, 7 years of this first and then this and that. Because to build muscle, it doesn't happen overnight like that. Maybe if you were to go play tennis, maybe after, or boxing, after a year full on boxing, you might have a little bit of skills. But to be a top bodybuilder in 1 year ain't going to happen. You know, you might not have the skills of a boxer to win a championship, but, you know, someone could probably show you how to throw punches, or karate. A year of karate, you could probably learn how to defend yourself pretty well doing it every day. But bodybuilding, after a year, you've just fucking begun. You're just scratching the surface.
Yes.
Like,
Just started.